You didn't find this video by accident. Think about it. Out of billions of pieces of content on the internet, out of infinite possibilities of what you could be watching right now, you're here, in this exact moment, hearing these exact words. And that's not random. That's not coincidence. That's synchronicity. Something in you was ready to hear what I'm about to share, ready to understand a truth that can only be perceived when your consciousness reaches a specific frequency, ready to receive knowledge that's been waiting for you your entire life. There are teachings that don't come to you through seeking. They come through readiness. Books that remain invisible until your soul evolves to the point where it can comprehend what's written within them. Wisdom that stays hidden not because it's secret, but because you weren't yet capable of recognizing it. And when that readiness arrives, when your consciousness crosses the threshold, suddenly what was invisible becomes visible. What was incomprehensible becomes crystal clear. What seemed to be hidden reveals itself as having been right in front of you all along. This is one of the deepest mysteries of existence. That truth has levels. That certain knowledge can only be accessed at certain stages of awakening. That there are things you literally cannot see, cannot hear, cannot understand until your soul has developed the capacity to receive them. The ancient mystery schools understood this. They didn't share their deepest teachings with everyone. Not because they were elitist or secretive, but because they knew that consciousness works in stages, that you must be ready, that premature exposure to certain truths can do more harm than good. And here's what they knew that most people never discover. Your entire life has been a preparation. Every experience, every challenge, every moment of darkness and light has been developing your capacity, building your readiness, evolving your soul to the point where you can finally receive what's been waiting for you. Stay with me, because if you're hearing this now, if these words are resonating in a way that feels like remembering rather than learning, then your moment has arrived. Your soul is ready. And what I'm about to share will confirm what you've always suspected but couldn't quite name. Chapter 1. The Invisible Library. Somewhere beyond physical reality, there exists a library that contains every truth, every teaching, every piece of wisdom that humanity has ever accessed and will ever access. The ancient Hindus called it the Akashic Records. The Greeks spoke of the universal mind. Mystics refer to it as the field of infinite intelligence. But whatever name you give it, the principle is the same. All knowledge exists, always, waiting to be accessed by those who are ready. But here's the key. You can't force your way in. You can't study your way to readiness. You can't think your way to understanding. Because this isn't intellectual knowledge. This is soul knowledge. And your soul has to evolve to the frequency where certain information becomes accessible. Think about your own life. Haven't there been moments when something suddenly made sense that never made sense before? When you heard something you'd heard 100 times, but this time it landed differently? When you read a book you'd read years ago, and it was like reading a completely different text? That's not because the information changed. It's because you changed. Your consciousness evolved. Your soul reached a new level of readiness. And suddenly, what was invisible became visible. What was locked became accessible. What was hidden revealed itself. This is how wisdom actually works. It's not about accumulating more information. It's about developing the capacity to perceive what's always been there, like learning to see infrared light. The light doesn't suddenly appear. You develop new perception that allows you to see what was there all along. And here's what's profound. The universe is intelligent. It knows exactly what you need and when you need it. It knows what you're ready for and what would overwhelm you. And it orchestrates your life, your experiences, your encounters, to prepare you for the next level of understanding. Every challenge you've faced developed a capacity. Every loss taught you something essential. Every moment of confusion was pushing you to expand beyond your current understanding. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. It was all preparation. And when the preparation is complete, when your soul has developed the necessary capacity, the teaching appears. Not because you went looking for it, but because you became ready to receive it. The book finds you. The teacher appears. The insight drops in. The synchronicity occurs. This is why certain books feel like they're speaking directly to you. Why certain teachings resonate so deeply they feel like remembering. Why certain truths hit you with the force of recognition. Because your soul recognizes what it's been preparing to receive. It knows when something is meant for you, when the timing is perfect, when you're finally ready. The invisible library is real, and you've always had access to it, but only to the sections your soul is developed enough to comprehend. And every time you evolve, every time you raise your consciousness, new sections become visible. New books appear. New wisdom reveals itself. You're not seeking knowledge. You're developing readiness. And when that readiness arrives, the knowledge seeks you. Chapter 2, The Frequency of Understanding. Here's something nobody tells you about learning. Understanding isn't intellectual. It's vibrational. You can read words and comprehend them mentally without actually understanding them at a soul level. You can know facts without having the lived experience that makes those facts meaningful. You can collect information without developing the consciousness to integrate it. Real understanding happens when your frequency matches the frequency of the teaching, when your vibration rises to the level where certain truths become not just intellectually graspable, but experientially known. When you don't just think the teaching, you become it. This is why the same teaching lands differently for different people. Why one person hears something and their life transforms, while another person hears the exact same thing, and it means nothing. It's not about the teaching. It's about the frequency of the receiver. If your consciousness is operating at a certain frequency, teachings above that frequency will either be invisible to you or feel like nonsense. You'll dismiss them, ignore them, or simply not comprehend what's being communicated. Not because you're not intelligent, because your frequency hasn't developed to the point where those truths are accessible. But when you raise your frequency, when your consciousness evolves through experience and awareness and inner work, suddenly teachings that made no sense become obvious. Books that seemed confusing become clear. Wisdom that felt abstract becomes practical and immediately applicable. This is the frequency of understanding, and it's not static. It's constantly evolving based on your growth. Every time you integrate a challenging experience, your frequency rises. Every time you face a fear and move through it, you evolve. Every time you choose consciousness over reaction, you develop capacity. And here's what's magical. You don't have to know what you're ready for. You don't have to figure out what level you're at or what teachings you should be seeking, because life brings you exactly what you need when you need it. The universe operates as your teacher, delivering lessons perfectly timed to your development. That book that falls off the shelf, that video that appears in your feed, that conversation that happens at exactly the right moment, that insight that drops in during meditation. None of it is random. All of it is orchestrated based on your frequency and your readiness. Ancient spiritual systems understood this as initiation. You couldn't advance to the next level until you'd mastered the previous one. Not as a test of worthiness, as a recognition that consciousness develops in stages, that certain teachings require certain capacities, that you must be ready. Modern spirituality often misses this. It treats all knowledge as equally accessible. It assumes that if you want to learn something, you should be able to. But that's not how consciousness works. Some truths can only be comprehended after you've lived through specific experiences, after you've developed specific capacities, after your soul has reached specific frequencies. And forcing it doesn't work. Trying to understand something before you're ready just creates confusion. Pretending to get it when you don't creates spiritual bypassing. The wisdom has to meet you where you are and guide you to where you're going. You can't skip steps, but you also can't stay stuck. When you're ready for the next level, when your frequency has risen to the point where new understanding is possible, you must be willing to receive it, even if it challenges everything you thought you knew, even if it requires you to let go of old beliefs, even if it's uncomfortable or disorienting, because growth always involves death and rebirth. The old understanding has to die so the new one can emerge. And that's okay. That's how evolution works. You're not losing truth. You're gaining a deeper, more refined, more accurate version of it. Chapter 3. The Tests of Readiness. Life doesn't just hand you wisdom. It tests whether you're ready for it. Every major teaching, every significant breakthrough, every profound realization is preceded by a test. Not because the universe is cruel or because you need to prove yourself, but because the test develops the exact capacity you need to integrate the teaching that's coming. Think about it. Before you learned compassion, you probably experienced judgment. Before you understood surrender, you probably tried to control everything. Before you accessed inner peace, you probably wrestled with chaos. The challenge wasn't punishment. It was preparation. The test is always perfectly designed for what you need to learn. If you need to develop trust, you'll face situations that trigger your control issues. If you need to learn boundaries, you'll encounter people who push them. If you need to discover your power, you'll be put in circumstances where you feel powerless. And here's the key. You can't skip the test. You can't think your way through it, or spiritually bypass it, or pretend it's not happening. You have to actually face it, actually move through it, actually develop the capacity it's designed to create. This is why people can read about enlightenment concepts for years without experiencing them. Because reading isn't the test. Living is the test. Facing real challenges, making actual choices, developing genuine capacity through experience, not just intellectual understanding. The tests often feel like setbacks, like obstacles, like problems that shouldn't be happening. But they're not. They're initiations. They're the universe's way of asking, are you ready for what's next? Have you developed what you need to hold the teaching that's coming? And if you fail the test the first time, don't worry. You'll get it again and again and again until you pass, not as punishment, as opportunity. Life keeps giving you chances to develop what you need because it wants you to succeed. It wants you to evolve. It wants you to access the wisdom waiting for you. But you have to be honest. You have to actually do the work. You can't pretend you've learned something when you haven't. You can't fake readiness. Your soul knows the truth, and life will keep presenting the same lesson in different forms until you genuinely integrate it. Ancient mystery schools formalize this with actual initiation rites, tests that confirmed whether the student had developed the necessary capacities, whether they could handle the power and responsibility of deeper teachings, whether their soul was ready. Modern life does the same thing, just less obviously. Your relationships test you. Your career tests you. Your health tests you. Your finances test you. Every area of life is asking, have you learned this yet? Are you ready for the next level? And when you pass the test, when you genuinely develop the capacity, something shifts. Suddenly the book appears. The teacher shows up. The insight arrives. The next level of understanding becomes accessible, not because you earned it through suffering, because you developed the readiness to receive it. This is the pattern. Challenge, growth, readiness, revelation. Challenge, growth, readiness, revelation. Your entire life is this cycle, spiraling upward, developing you into a consciousness capable of holding deeper and deeper truths. And right now, if you're hearing this, you're in one of those readiness moments. Something in you has developed to the point where you can receive what's next. The question is, will you recognize it when it appears? Will you be brave enough to step through the door that's opening? Chapter 4. The Gatekeepers of Consciousness. There's something protecting certain knowledge from those who aren't ready. Not an external force trying to keep you in the dark, but an internal mechanism designed to ensure you only access what you're capable of integrating. Think of it as consciousness gatekeepers, internal guardians that determine what information you can perceive based on your current level of development. And these gatekeepers are sophisticated. They're not arbitrary. They're intelligent, protective, and perfectly calibrated to your evolution. When you're not ready for certain knowledge, the gatekeepers make it invisible. You could be looking directly at truth and not see it, reading wisdom and not comprehend it, hearing guidance and dismiss it, not because you're incapable, because the gatekeepers know that premature access would cause harm. This is why people can dismiss spirituality their entire lives and then suddenly wake up. The gatekeepers were closed. And then, through life experience, through suffering, through evolution, something shifted. The consciousness developed. The readiness arrived, and the gatekeepers opened. When they open, it's unmistakable. Suddenly everything makes sense. Books you couldn't understand become profound. Concepts that seemed ridiculous become obvious. Practices that felt pointless become transformative. You haven't changed your mind. You've changed your consciousness. And different consciousness has access to different information. Ancient traditions knew about these gatekeepers. They spoke of veils, of barriers between worlds, of thresholds that could only be crossed after proper preparation. They weren't being mystical. They were describing the actual mechanism by which consciousness protects itself from overload. Because here's the thing, some truths are dangerous if received before you're ready. Not because the truth itself is harmful, but because without the proper foundation, without the necessary development, certain knowledge can fragment you, overwhelm you, destabilize you in ways that set you back rather than move you forward. The gatekeepers are merciful. They ensure you only access what you can integrate, what you can handle, what will serve your evolution rather than disrupt it. They know what you're ready for, even when you think you're ready for more. And this is why forcing doesn't work, why you can't push your way to enlightenment, why spiritual ambition often backfires, because the gatekeepers can't be manipulated. They respond to genuine readiness, not desire, to actual development, not intention. You develop readiness through living, through facing your shadows, through integrating your experiences, through becoming more conscious, more aware, more present. And as you do, the gatekeepers gradually open, not all at once, layer by layer, level by level, as you prove through your being, not just your wanting, that you're capable of holding what's next. This is the real inner work, not techniques or practices or methods, but the genuine evolution of your consciousness to the point where the gatekeepers recognize you're ready and open the next door. And when they do, when you cross a threshold, you can never fully go back. You can't unsee what you've seen, can't unknow what you've known. You've permanently expanded, and now you're operating at a new level with access to information that was previously invisible. This is the journey, threshold by threshold, gatekeeper by gatekeeper, each opening revealing new truths while protecting you from truths you're not yet equipped to hold. It's perfect, it's intelligent, and it's happening whether you're aware of it or not. But when you become conscious of the process, when you understand that readiness is the key, you can work with it. You can focus on actual development rather than information seeking. You can trust that when you're ready, the teaching will appear, the book will find you, the gatekeeper will open. Chapter 5, Recognizing Your Moment. So how do you know when your soul is ready? How do you recognize when you've crossed a threshold and new wisdom is becoming accessible? The signs are subtle but unmistakable if you're paying attention. Synchronicities increase. The same themes keep appearing in different forms. Books, conversations, videos, all pointing to something you need to understand. That's not random. That's the universe confirming your readiness and delivering the teaching. You feel a pull towards certain information, not intellectual curiosity. Deeper, soul-level magnetism. Something in you knows that what you're being drawn to contains what you need. Trust that pull. It's your consciousness guiding you toward your next evolution. Old beliefs start feeling uncomfortable. What used to make sense doesn't anymore. What used to satisfy you feels empty. You're outgrowing your current understanding, and your soul is pushing you toward expansion. That discomfort isn't a problem. It's a sign of readiness. You have dreams or insights that feel significant. Not ordinary dreams, but ones that carry weight, that feel like transmissions, that stay with you, that shift something inside. Your subconscious is processing at deeper levels, preparing you for conscious understanding. Teachers or teachings appear in unexpected ways. A random recommendation, a book falling off a shelf, a conversation with a stranger, a video appearing in your feed. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And sometimes the teacher is a moment, an experience, a perfectly timed piece of information. You experience what feels like remembering rather than learning. The information doesn't feel new. It feels like something you always knew, but forgot, like pieces clicking into place, like recognition. That's your soul confirming, yes, this is what I've been ready for. But here's what's important. Readiness requires action. It's not enough to recognize the moment. You have to step through the door. You have to actually engage with the teaching, actually apply the wisdom, actually integrate what's being revealed, because the universe is testing your commitment. Showing you the teaching is one thing, but will you honor it? Will you do the work? Will you let it transform you? Or will you acknowledge it intellectually and then continue living the same way? True readiness means being willing to change, to let the teaching reshape you, to release old patterns that don't align with the new understanding, to embody what you're learning, not just know it. And when you do, when you fully step into your readiness and integrate what's being offered, something miraculous happens. The next level of wisdom starts preparing to reveal itself, because consciousness development never stops. There's always another threshold, always another level, always more to discover. You're not seeking a final destination. You're evolving continuously. And each moment of readiness is both an arrival and a beginning. You've reached one level, and now you're being prepared for the next. This is the gift of being alive, the opportunity to develop, to grow, to access deeper and deeper truth. Not all at once, not faster than you can handle, but perfectly timed, perfectly orchestrated, perfectly aligned with your soul's readiness. And if you're here now, if these words are landing with the weight of recognition, then your moment is here. Your soul is ready. The book has found you. The teaching has appeared. The question is, what will you do with it? The book that only appears when your soul is ready isn't a literal book. It's a metaphor for truth itself, for the way wisdom works, for the intelligence of life that knows exactly what you need and when you need it. Every teaching you've ever encountered that transformed you came at the exact moment you were ready for it, not before, not after, precisely when your consciousness had developed the capacity to receive and integrate it. And every teaching that flew over your head, that you dismissed or ignored or couldn't comprehend, came before you were ready. It wasn't the wrong teaching, it was the wrong timing. Your soul hadn't yet developed the frequency to access that particular wisdom. This is the great secret. Truth doesn't hide from you. You hide from truth until you're ready to see it. And the moment you become ready, it appears, sometimes dramatically, sometimes subtly, but always perfectly timed. The figure on the cover, listening with headphones, surrounded by clockwork and cosmic symbols, represents you, tuned into a specific frequency at a specific moment in time, receiving exactly what your soul has been prepared to hear. You didn't randomly find this video. Your soul called it to you because something in you is ready. Ready for what you might not fully know yet. But your consciousness recognizes readiness even when your mind doesn't. So pay attention. Notice what you're being drawn to. Follow the synchronicities. Trust the pull. Engage with the teachings that are appearing, and be willing to be transformed by them, because this is your moment, your threshold, your opening into the next level of understanding. The book has appeared. The wisdom is available. Your soul is ready. Don't waste this moment questioning whether you deserve it or whether you're really ready. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. The universe doesn't make mistakes. It doesn't present teachings prematurely. If the door is opening, walk through it. Your entire life has been preparation for what comes next. Every experience developed a capacity. Every challenge refined your consciousness. Every moment of growth brought you to this threshold. And now, you're here, ready to receive, ready to integrate, ready to step into the next version of yourself that's been waiting to emerge. The book that only appears when your soul is ready has found you, not by chance, by readiness, by the perfect timing of your consciousness evolution, by the intelligence of a universe that knows exactly when you're prepared to hold more truth. Welcome to your next level. Welcome to the wisdom that's been waiting for you. Welcome to the recognition that you're exactly where you're meant to be, receiving exactly what you're meant to receive. Your soul is ready. The teaching has appeared. Now, it's time to integrate, to embody, to become the truth you're being shown. This is your moment. Don't miss it.